And welcome back into OpenLine. I'm Chuck Long. We've got about a half hour left on OpenLine. If you're just tuning in, great time to tune in. This is Ask an Expert, Ask an Attorney evening, and our expert is in the building. He's been here for years, and I tell you what, one of the finest legal minds that I know a lot of people have ever met. Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. So much knowledge up there. Sometimes, Kevin, I just want to, I don't know how there's room for so much knowledge.
You know, I was even reflecting over my career, and we had some young lawyers in there, and they say, Kev, what? And I said, wow, I really went to school all those years to prepare. I've been in the federal courts, I've been in the state courts, I've been in the prisons, I've been in the jury trials. Well, guess what? You've seen a whole lot. So that's why I love to share. It is really in me. Chuck and I were talking on the break on how the culture has changed, where so many people are always interested in me. And so then it forces all of us to protect ourselves, because that's the culture we find ourselves. It really wasn't even like this 10 years ago when we did this show.
Right. And I tell you, and that's why so often people say, do I need a lawyer, or should I just go out on my own? I mean, get the lawyer. You have one of those problems, you have a situation, you need an attorney. But the attorney's obviously being the expert. But again, so many people say, well, but you know, am I going to get less money or more money?
Yes.
The problem is, if you don't know the legal ramifications, there's no way you can navigate that process.
You are good. Let me just tell you this. So many people, I had a guy tell me from my church, I cared about it, and he said, Kev, I got it done. I got it in writing. Let me revisit that. Years ago, he's gone on to be with the Lord. Then I said, I really recommend you get a lawyer. I'd love to help you. So he settles it. And it was probably 3 months later, he stood at my car window in the church parking lot, tears coming down. And he said, Kev, they've done me wrong. They didn't do what they said. I wanted to say, you got it in writing, because he thought he knew better than the young lawyer, but I wouldn't do that. I'm not cruel. I'm not a cruel man. I'm going to protect my people, but I'm not going to gloat, you say, over that. And he had been massively ripped off and really helped ruin what asset he had for the remainder of his life. So go to this. If you want to see the best movie, where's that longest line? Because you can go and do a little research. They're going to tell you real quick. And the smartest people I've ever known, they said, hire the best lawyers and the best accountants. They always pay for themselves. My experience, that is absolutely true. So if I would do it for my family, why wouldn't I do it and recommend it for yours?
Great points. And tonight's the night that you can get that legal advice, absolutely, of course, free. So if you've been wondering about some of those questions that you have pertaining to whether or not it's estate planning, or you've had a situation that you're thinking, I'm the little guy, I can't go up against the insurance companies, I can't go up against the hospitals, I just got to kind of sit here and pay it out or do whatever I need to. This is the evening that you can say, wait a second, should I be doing that? So give us a call. The number is 737-7587, and you can get those legal questions answered. We're going to go back to the phones right now. Let's go to Jerome. All right, Jerome, good evening. We're glad that you're calling in on OpenLine. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
I do have a question. My question is, what recourse do I have when, after surgery, I understand that I was given too much anesthetic?
Well, remember this, Jerome. Thank you for the phone call. People make mistakes all the time. Both police we're all human. So you know we can make mistakes. Lawyers make mistakes. The question is, was there a deviation from the standard of care in that medical community? If it is, then you need a legal expert, medical expert, to say these people did a deviation. Okay, so then we've got a cause of action. The next question is, what are my damages? If you were legally disabled, permanently disabled, you got substantial damages. So the case is bigger. So you have to get over the first hurdle. Are they liable? And they would be if someone said they deviate from the standard of care. And then number two, what is the extent of my damages? Well, if I was just sick and I got right over it, then a jury would say that was a minimum and might minimally award. However, if that was permanent and significant, what price do you put on that? Thank you for the question, Jerome. It's it was well placed.
Also, kind of a follow-up to that, Kevin, what if someone, because I just thought, I've had a friend that's told me that they've had a situation similar to that, but they had called the insurance company and they were asking about it, but they asked the insurance company, they said, can we record this call? And the person they were talking with said, no, you cannot.
Wow.
But what are your rights there?
Well, you have the right to record, and let me say this, we're on the broadcast, the insurance company, they've got an agenda, they're very sophisticated, their agenda is to look after the insurance company. So, you know, you may have the wrong perception that they are there and they're going to help you, which we all want to believe. That's the real work, because we're basically Americans are honest people. We know what's right, we know what's wrong. All we want to be is treated fair. But wait a minute, that insurance industry, that is not their agenda. Their agenda is to make a profit. So once you understand the players, then it makes a difference. I would be very, very careful, and I always, in this culture that we find ourselves, let a lawyer do, because anything you say is going to be used against you, and they're masters at questioning on the liability, because their lawyers have researched with the law and say, wait a minute, we have horrendous damages, horrendous. And they'll take a tape. Of course, one of the first things you'll get when you come in my office, and I said, did you give a recorded statement? Because you know their agenda is to go against you. Keep that in mind. Come to the lawyer first. Remember, if I never gave him a statement, guess who's in command? Kevin C., he's in command. I'll do the directing, just like the quarterback and just like the general. And I'll guarantee you our results will prove it if we're on the front end without a lot of statements.
Important points to always remember, so that's great to know. All right, back to the lines. Here we go. Odette, we're glad that you're calling in on Open Line. Do you have a question for Kevin?
Yes, I'm calling to ask about if a home has gone into foreclosure and it has sold, is there a time period in which the homeowner could still work out something to regain or keep that property?
Okay, here we go. It's a classic question. We're going to see an avalanche. Kev, you can't read the future. You are no prophet. I'm telling you, when that interest rate went up and everybody's budget is tight, there's going to be mass foreclosures. I go to the courthouse, lots of evictions. Here's what you need to hear. If they move to foreclose, you go to a lawyer immediately. There are some things that you could file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and that stops the proceedings, an automatic stay. What does that mean? It means that we could buy you some time to reorganize. But if you let the foreclosure sale, bam, that gavel falls, that has been done. So don't let that, and bankruptcy lawyers, hey, get in line, get the information. There's a lot of free information out there. If you see it coming, guess what? Chuck lost his job. I lost my job. The mortgage is too high. Here's where we're going to see it. Those adjustable rate mortgages. Well, I was paying $1,500 a month. We could do it. That mortgage payment went up to $1,850. I was a little too squeezed. If I know it, talk to somebody. The proactive approach, always don't wait. That doctrine, it's common law, laches. Don't sit on your rights. We must advance.
Proactive, always a great piece of advice. All right, Odette, thank you so much for calling in. Jeanette is on the line, so let's find out what is on Jeanette's mind. Jeanette, what is your question or comment for Kevin? Comment for Kevin. Comment for Kevin. Comment for Kevin. And Jeanette, you might turn your television down. Television down. Television down. Television. All right.
Jeanette, in a Grand Canyon right there.
That was. I tell you what, I thought we were down in the canyon. All right, Jeanette, I'm sorry if you did get cut off there. Just go ahead and give us a call back here on Open Line. Kevin, you know, we were talking about what you should and shouldn't say. I always think it's so important because, again, with our cameras and the capabilities of audio recording or video recording, you get stopped in a traffic situation. What are your rights? Can you politely ask the officer, or tell the officer, I'm going to record you. Is it okay? Is that okay to do?
Sure, you can do that. Now, some officers may say, oh, I feel threatened. Some officers may just let it go and say that guy's too educated, let him go. Of course, you could get the different personality, just like every lawyer's got a different police, judges have different personalities. But you do have a right to record. And you know, we see some things on the internet that is shocking. It is shocking. And it's hard for me to fathom some of the circumstances we say. I am a man of the law, under the law. I want to encourage you to obey the law. We know there's some bad apples out there, but hear me. If you got the problem, don't fight it out in the street. Fight it out in the court. You say, Kev, I didn't want to have to take off work, and this is not right. Well, sometimes trouble comes on us. We're victims of circumstances. And so do what I say. I think that's some great advice. That's what I teach my children. Both my sons, it's amazing. They're smart boys, but they spent their life studying medicine. How can they know everything about the law? And they said, Dad, do we always have to hear you at the dinner table? I'm preaching and I'm teaching because I want to protect them.
There you go. That's a good dad. Hey, Kevin, even I'm going to follow up on that question that I had. What if you are watching, you're observing a situation, you know, an officer is confronting someone on the sidewalk for some situation. As a bystander, are you able to take out your camera and or phone and video?
Absolutely. And quite obviously, you know, it's been said a long time. A picture's worth 1,000 words. You'll hear Kevin Kennedy say, a video is worth 10,000 words. Because we can say all day, well, the officer was too aggressive. The officer came too. Well, when you've got that video camera, it's really hard to dispute. Now, skilled lawyers can try to explain it away. I've seen the masters. They are the best, using the diversion technique, using all kinds, and some are very effective. But the truth of the matter is a jury can look at it and make their own mind up. So you can try to play it, spin it, but you remember the Bible says the truth will set you free. And justice is something all men in their hearts really want. If I can dance that, tell the truth, that's where we're going to go, and the jury trial will prove it, and you will win.
And we've got about 15 minutes left for your questions, so if you've been contemplating one of those legal questions and you'd like it answered right here on the air, which not only helps you, but it can also help a lot of folks that are watching, just give us a call. That's the number on your screen, 737-7587. We'll see what Wayne's question is. He is with us this evening. We're glad that you called in, Wayne. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, I do. Thank you for taking the call.
Thank you, Wayne.
You sit next to a professional, outstanding individual, and the Lord, I believe the Lord sent you my way, and to help the people out that you need. My question is, I had this guy do work on my car about a month ago, and they made a deal to take the transmission out and go get another one. Well, he took the transmission out, but he run out with the money that I gave him to go get it. And refused to bring it back, refused to answer the phone. So I called down and done a police report downtown. And I'm glad my dad told me about my temper, because I ran into the guy getting some more parts, the same guy a month later. And I held my anger back. But I'm trying to see, now, can I have the police arrest him if they see him like that while I seen him? Because I also worked in that area. Can I have him arrested for theft?
You did.
Done the police report.
You did the right thing. Now, let's talk about it. The police could come back if you could prove that that was intentional fraud, conversion, that you took the money and he had no intention of fulfilling it. That's a criminal offense that someone could be prosecuted over. If he came back and said, this is a civil matter, the man paid me, I'm trying to get a transmission, and I told him there were no guarantees, then the DA and the police may say, we're not going to pursue this criminally, you'll have to go sue him. So, what do I say from this? Every day we see it at the law office. You try to deal with reputable people. Why? And you say, but Kevin, they're always so much more expensive. That is a risk factor. Y'all know I've been a businessman 45 years, and I've danced many times in both leagues, using the big companies and using the little. There is a risk factor on everybody we do business with. So what do I like to do? I like to check them out, research them. I like not to pay them, but if you're clearly ripped off, document, and I would go see the police. And that's what I would try to protect myself. And if I didn't, I'd want to pursue and file suit immediately, get my car out of there, and try to mitigate my damage. You might rip me off $300, but you didn't get me for $5,000 on my car. A proactive approach. You identified it perfectly. Let the buyer beware to all that hear the broadcast.
Important advice. Thank you so much, Kevin. And Wayne, we appreciate you calling in.
Yes.
We have one more segment to take your calls. We're going to take a short break right now. But if you have one of those legal questions, give us a call, 737-7587. You're watching Open Line.